So what I want to do first is to kind of just give you guys an awareness. We are trying to recruit people into our business, and that's the bottom line. I mean, we can frame it however we want. We can say we're trying to give people an opportunity, we're trying to change people's lives, we're trying to pay it forward. Yes, that's all great, but if we get to the black and white of the activity that we're doing and what the end result should be, we are prospecting people to get them involved in our business. Boom, that's it, right? And whatever it means, whatever meaning we create around that, that's fine. But if we get black and white about it, we're just trying to recruit people. Done. So now that we understand we're just recruiting people, we also need to put ourselves in our prospects' shoes and think about how they might feel in the recruiting process. I remember when I was just getting started in my business and trying to recruit a bunch of people, it was so difficult. I would talk to a bunch of people and nobody would end up signing up in my business for whatever the reason. And I didn't really understand why that was the case. I thought that if I just talk to enough people, I'll eventually find the people who see the value in the business. And you know what? I did find a few people, but for the vast majority of people, in fact, most of them, after I had a conversation with them for whatever the reason, just weren't interested. And so I didn't know what the problem was. I wasn't sure if it was what I was saying. I wasn't sure if it was how I dressed. I thought maybe it's the car I was driving or, the fact that I hadn't had success. And I started sitting back and creating all these answers and justifications and stories as to why it wasn't working, why my business wasn't working. And then I went and heard a training. This is back in 2004, 2005 time frame. It was actually on YouTube, a video just like this. And the gentleman speaking was not a network marketer, but he was a marketer. And what he talked about was the idea of how most people in marketing are like hunters, right? Where they're basically chasing the prey. They're the predator, they're chasing the prey. They're going after their prospects, their customers, the buyers are in pursuit, right? Now, what he said was the dynamic of chasing a prospect or hunting somebody is naturally when you chase someone, what are they going to do? They're going to run. They're going to run away. So he says what we need to learn how to do is create this scenario or create a situation where instead of us being the hunter, where we're hunting our prospects and hunting our customers and all that, where we become the hunted. So how do we become the hunted? The other example he gave was become a fisherman. Where you have the bait, you have something that your prospects want, you put it out there and you attract the fish, you attract the prospects. And so when he explained that to me, immediately I saw right away where I was messing up. I was messing up because I was coming across as too needy, too desperate, and chasing my people, running after my prospects to get them into this incredible opportunity. And I just knew that it was such a good business and I was so excited about it that I didn't really have awareness as to how I was coming across to my prospect. And so I had a conversation one day with one of my representatives, my team members back in the day, and I remember what he said. And this is all after I heard the training, so I had already kind of got that aha moment. And what my distributor said, my rep said was, my prospect I brought last week, he said that the reason why I wasn't interested, it wasn't because of the business, he said it was because it was you, Max. And I was like, what? What do you mean because of me? He goes, yeah, you were way too pushy, way too aggressive. In fact, you scared him away. You scared him away. I said, what? I scared him away? And of course, I immediately just downplay. I'm like, he's just whatever. He wasn't interested. He's just a rotten apple. He's just negative. But when my partners told me that, it made me, it got to me, right? It literally, I started thinking right there and then, I'm like, man, I scared the person away. And then couple that with the information I had heard from the training on YouTube, I was like, wow. I started realizing what I was doing was actually scaring prospects away because I was, again, being a hunter. So after having this realization in my business and realizing that what I was doing wasn't working and if I continued doing the same thing, I was going to continue to get the same results, I said, you know what, let me take a step back and just reevaluate what I'm actually doing here that's working and not working. And clearly nothing was working. So I started looking at the language I was using. I was looking at my posture, looking at everything I was doing to see where was I coming across as desperate. Where was I coming across as a hunter? Where was I coming across that could potentially scare my prospects away? And immediately I saw it all. I saw the words I was using. I was seeing how my energy, my tonality was, the type of conversations I was having. I was doing all these things to actually create barriers between me and my prospect rather than create connections and bridges with my prospect. So let me just kind of map out this whole process because if you get clear on what we're trying to do with our prospects. So think about it like this. It all starts right over here where we identify, I'm going to put IP, our prospect, right? So we identify our prospects, and we can use warm markets, social media, other people's warm markets. There's infinite. In fact, if you watch episode 2, I talked about how to create 2,000 plus prospects like in 24 to 48 hours. So that's number one. The second step is we want to then do what? We want to peak our prospect. We want to find out if they are open to an opportunity, right? We want to make sure that they are in that mindset, that they have a desire, that they're looking for something. It's kind of like if you invite someone to dinner that's not hungry, it's not going to work. Well, it's the same thing if you're going to invite someone to see your business. If they're not open, it's probably not going to work. Now, that's step 2. Step 3 is we then need to set the appointment. So I'm going to put SA for short, and this is what we're going to focus on today. And then once we set the appointment, if they show up, we want to then do what? We want to expose them to the business, right? Expose. And then the final step, I don't think I have enough space here. The final step is we want to then do what? We want to enroll. So I'm going to put I'll just spell the word out here. So we want to enroll them into the business. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. You're going to see an infographic here in a second. Boom, there it is. Okay. So just looking at the process here, we want to find prospects. So immediately, that's the first step. Yes, we're in hunter mode because we're looking for the prospects we're looking for, but the dynamic's going to shift because once we find potential people for our business, we then want to approach them. But the key is when we peak these individuals, if you watch our last episode, I talked about jumping through hoops and getting people in this mindset where you are the person that has the value, you are the person that has the opportunity, so people need you, you don't need them, so you need to have that posture. So when you're piquing interest, yes, you ask them a question such as, are you open to making additional income? Do you keep your options open? Something along those lines, but the whole concept is you're not trying to be too aggressive and shove the whole business down their throat in that initial peak. I've seen people who are in that peak state, meaning when they're calling them up and saying, or when they meet them in the street or on social media, instead of saying, hey, do you keep your options open? Here's what they end up doing. Hey, I have this incredible business. I think it'll change your life. In fact, this happened the other day to my wife. She got DM'd by somebody in some company called Live. And we have obviously no interest in doing that, any type of other MLM or that MLM specifically. And it was so interesting because that person doesn't even know my wife. And what she started doing was just kind of took a copy and paste message, sent it to the DM, and it went like this. Incredible business, changing lives, doing charity. You can make a lot of money. You can live an inspiring life. You can travel. It was just a bunch of bullshit all the way through. So immediately we looked at it as a joke, and that's why we're using it now as a training point. This is not what you want to do. You don't want to be that amateurish in your approach, right? So your peak should be short, but it should also be impactful. And so what we also spoke about in our last episode was how to actually go deep on the personality. The P in the peak stands for what? Personality. Because you want to know who you're talking to. Because if you know the personality of the person you're talking to, okay, I'm just going to put person here. The personality of the person you're talking to, then you can speak to them in a way that will move them to what? The next step. See, the reason why people always end up, dropping off right over here after you pique their interest, hey, do you want to make money, is because you're coming at them with a one-size-fits-all approach. It's so impersonal, right? Nobody likes to be sold to, right? People need to feel important, special, and valuable. So how you do that is you personalize the peak. How? By understanding their personality. We spoke about that. Watch the last episode. We talked about shark, urchin, whale, and dolphin. We talked about how to uncover their hot buttons by forming them, family, occupation, recreation, motivation, and by uncovering their personality, and also their P stands for what? Pain points, right? So you peak, within that you find a personality, you're going to find their pain points. That's going to make your peak do what? Be effective. You're going to be able to get that person to do what? Take that next step. Okay, yeah, I'm for sure open. Okay, so now what we want to talk about is once we peak effectively, and if we're doing this correctly, there is no scaring your prospect away. You're not going to do what that lady did in the Instagram DM to my wife, where you're coming across as some desperate salesperson in MLM who's trying to build a pyramid thing, right? That's not what you want to do. So by utilizing the steps in our last episode, it's going to absolutely change your posture, your confidence, your flow, your conversation, and give you a posture that's really attractive. And the number one quality you can have to a prospect is value, and that's how you do it, by being a person worth listening to, a person that they want to follow. So now that you've established this is the preset, this is the pre-frame, okay? Now that this part's established, this is the key right here, the next part of the process should just be easy walk in the park. Because if you do everything on the front end correctly, everything else will fall into its proper place. So the next step is setting appointments, right? So when I say your prospects are afraid of you, they're usually afraid of you because of these first two angles right here. You're usually compressing these two into one stage rather than separating it. You're making it impersonal rather than personal, right? You're instead of focusing on that prospect's pain points and passions and the things they want to pursue, you're making it all about you, right? And you're coming across as pushy, right? So if you understand the flip side, which I just covered, you're going to put the ball in your court and you're going to have a lot of leverage in this conversation. So now the next step is setting the appointment. Setting the appointment. Okay, now there's a couple of things I want to share with you. I'm going to erase this really quickly. When it comes to setting the appointment, what I want you to understand is what is an appointment, right? What actually constitute an appointment? Because I think a lot of us here, this is where we drop the ball. I want you to become very logical and very black and white in how you operate your business, okay? So when it comes to setting an appointment, so by definition, an appointment, and I want you to write notes for yourself. That's how you're going to retain this information. Okay, so by definition, an appointment, okay, is not when someone says, yes, I will meet you on Thursday. Call me and we'll figure out what time and where. That is not an appointment. That is just an excuse, actually, waiting to happen. Okay, that is a no waiting to happen. So an appointment, and I want you to write this down, D, okay, T-P. What is DTP, guys? D stands for the exact day. So it's not going to be like, oh yeah, over the weekend we'll get together, or oh, later on this week we're going to get together. When you hear something like that, that is automatically going to be a no-go, okay? So you need the exact day when it's happening. The next thing is, you need what? The exact time that the meeting's going to be happening. So it's not going to be like, oh yeah, let's get together on Thursday and I'll let you know what time. No. Or let's get together on Thursday in the evening time. No. You got to be specific, okay? And then P stands for what? Place. Now the place is super important because if they tell you, yeah, I'll meet you on Thursday at 6 o'clock, but we don't know where, guess what? They don't answer, they don't confirm, you don't get a hold of them within that time frame. Even though they give you date and time, but they never give you a place, they can just keep you hanging. And you're going to sit there twiddling your thumbs. So you need to have an exact, detailed DDP set up with your appointment setting. If you're missing one of these three, then it's not an appointment. I want you to get that in your head. If you're missing one of these three components, it is not an appointment, okay? It is not an appointment. So that's number one. Whenever you set an appointment, make sure you have these three elements, components in place. Okay, number two, let's talk about language, okay, when it comes to actually setting an appointment. So I want you to write down this acronym, okay? NPOGS. NPOGS, okay? POGS. So what is NPOGS? Let me give you an example. The way I usually set appointments with people, and my recruiting process is always like two steps, okay? The first step would be obviously identify who they are, and then I'm going to peak that person, whether it's on social media, in person, whatever. So I'm going to peak them. But the peak is an isolated event. I do not set the appointment when I peak them unless it's a hot market prospect and I'm calling them, over the phone. Then I'll peak them and invite them right there on the spot. But if it's someone I'm meeting as I'm out and about, I'm at a restaurant, I build a conversation with the bartender or the waiter. I'm not going to sit there and be like, hey, do you keep your options open? Great, let's meet tomorrow for coffee. No, I don't do that. I separate the two. So when it's warm market, hot market relationship, like my cousin, my friend, whatever, my neighbor, sure, I'll peak and invite them right there. But if it's anybody else outside of an immediate warm market contact, you want to peak as an isolated event, then wait 24 to 48 hours to then follow up and set the appointment. Okay, set the appointment. So you separate the two. So now what happens? When you're setting the appointment, okay, setting the appointment, I'm going to put SA again for short. Here's an example. I'll call John back. Hey, John, listen, just following up from our conversation yesterday. Really quick, by the way, do you have 15 to 20 minutes tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow for about 15, 20 minutes? So immediately what I'm going to do is I'll tell them, hey, I'm just calling to reconnect, right? So what I'm really going to basically do is, hey, I'm just touching base, right? So it's touch base. And then what I'm going to then do is throw out a test time. I'm going to throw out a test time. Oh, by the way, and I'm not telling them what it's for or what it's about. I'm just saying, hey, I'm just touching base with you from our conversation yesterday at the restaurant. By the way, I'm actually in a rush. I'm limited on time. What are you doing tomorrow for about 30 minutes around maybe an afternoon or evening time? Just throw out a test time. He's probably going to say, oh, I'm working, I'm tied up, whatever. Say, okay, cool, no problem. That's the whole point. Because by doing that, it's going to give you insight into his schedule, right? So then what happens? Here's what you're going to go ahead and do. From there, once you throw it out there, he may be available, may not be available. Here's what you're going to do now. You're going to tie him down. You're going to tie down. So how do you tie him down? See, if you did step 2 right in the process, which is what? Peak interest. But it's not just peaking interest. It's uncovering their personality, their pain points, their problems, their promises, their passions, all those things. If you do that correctly, here's what you end up doing. Hey, John, I'm just touching base with you from our conversation yesterday at the restaurant. By the way, I only have a few minutes. I wanted to find out what you were doing tomorrow, afternoon or evening time. Okay, you're tied up, you're working. Okay, no problem. So we already know, boom, tomorrow's not going to work. Okay? Then we're going to tie him down. Say, hey, yesterday you mentioned to me that you were really frustrated with your job situation, right? Listen, I want to get together with you and share some information with you. I know you said you were open to making additional income, but let's get together for about 30 minutes, okay? And I'm going to share with you what it is that I do, what it is that we're involved in. Look, I don't know if it's going to be for you, and I don't know if you're going to be for us, okay? But let's get together, and we'll see where we go from there. You see how that works? So what did I just do there in the tie down? So in the tie down, and I'm going to tie this in a minute, okay? In the tie down, all I really did was I tied in his what? His P's, his passion, right? I tied in his pain, right? I tied in his pain. I tied in what he wanted, so his hot buttons, right? All that stuff, so his passion and his pain. I tied it in. So I didn't just say, hey, let's get together tomorrow at 5 o'clock. No one wants to get together with anybody. But I will want to get together with somebody if I know they're going to show me how to remove my pain and accomplish my passion. You see how that works? So one more time. Hey, John, just touching base with you from our conversation yesterday. Oh, really quick, by the way, what are you doing tomorrow for about 20, 30 minutes? Oh, you're working tomorrow? Ah, okay, got it. Anyways, just wanted to touch base with you. I know from our conversation you said that you were really frustrated with your job and you were looking for a change, and that your passion is like music and producing and all that. Let me ask you a question. If there was a way, if I could show you a way to make additional income to help you potentially get out of your job and be able to pursue your passion in music, would that be something you'd be open to taking a look at? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So that's the tie down, right? So now what you're going to then do, you NPOG them. So now you're going to say, look, I can't promise or guarantee anything. I don't know if what I do and what my business is about is going to be a fit for you, and I don't know if you're going to be a fit for us. But let's get together, right? Tomorrow you said it doesn't work? Okay, how about the following day? Let's get together, and I'll share with you what it is that I do, and we'll see where we go from there. How does that sound to you? Oh, that sounds great. Okay, perfect. And then from there you get the exact, day, time, and place. You DDP them. See how that works? So let's do it one more time all the way through. We're going to wrap this first part up with appointment setting. So, hey John, just touching base with you from our conversation the other day. Boom. By the way, I'm in a rush. What do you got going on tomorrow for about 15, 20, 30 minutes? Are you available at all in the afternoon? No? Okay, no problem. Listen, just following up from our conversation, I know that you said you're really frustrated with your job and you're looking for a way to be able to generate more income so you can pursue your music. Is that something you're really serious about? Absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, listen, I can't guarantee or promise you anything, but I want to get together with you tomorrow for about 30 minutes. That way you can see what it is that we do. And you look, I can't promise to guarantee you anything, but after we get the information, go over all the details, we'll see, where we go from there. Does that sound good to you? Yeah, sounds great. Okay, awesome. I can do tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Actually, you said he wasn't available, so you already shift gears. Say, I know you said you were busy tomorrow, but is there any way you can free yourself up? So that's what I do. I don't try to change my schedule. I try to make them change their schedule. Why? Because you always want to be in control. You always want to have the posture in the conversation. Remember jumping through hoops, right? GTH. You want to get your prospect always jumping through hoops to get to the information that's going to help them do what? Remove the pain and bring them the passion. You see how that works? So I'll have them say, hey, great, is there any way you can make yourself available tomorrow? I know you're working, but can you free yourself up for about 30 minutes tomorrow, and then I'll see what I can do to pull some strings. If they say, no, I absolutely cannot, then I'll say this. Okay, cool. So if tomorrow doesn't work, the only other time I'll be able to meet with you is what I say. I don't say, well, when can you meet with me? I say, look, the only other time that I'll be able to meet with you is going to be on this day or this day. So then I give them an alternative close. I can either meet on Friday, or I can meet on Monday. What works better for you? Oh, Monday works great. Afternoon or evening? Afternoon. Okay, perfect. Why don't we meet right near your restaurant where we met? And why do I do that? Why do I want to do the place of closest vicinity? Because it's a familiarity. Place of familiarity does what? Brings down the barrier, especially when you're doing cold market recruiting. Especially when you're doing cold market recruiting, it's very difficult to get people to step out of that comfort zone that you met them in. So you want to kind of keep them in that realm. So it's very easy and convenient for them. And even though, at the end of the day, you're trying to get them to jump through hoops, remember, it's a new relationship. You're just establishing yourself with that person. So you also need to psychologically play the game, okay? So I'll do it within the vicinity of where they're working. And in that way, there's really no excuse for them not to show up, right? So that's the whole process of setting the appointment. But now it doesn't stop here, guys. This is where it just begins, okay? So now that we've got this figured out, let me show you the next step and final step of this whole entire process, okay? Here's how you're going to guarantee get your prospects to show up, okay? Here's how you're going to guarantee get your prospects to show up. You're going to start leveraging the power of omnipresence within your network marketing business, okay? So if you set the appointment, and I encourage you to do it over the phone, because when you do it over the phone, it has that much more weight, right? Rather than texting or sending an email or whatever. However, once you get them to commit over the phone, so I'm going to put over phone. So we get them to commit over the phone, which is ideal. The next step that you're going to do, let's say here's appointment day. So I'm going to put I'll just fill it out. Appointment day right over here. And let's say that we're like 3 days before. Okay, so 3 days before. That's when you set the appointment as an example. Usually I don't even set it out 3 days. That's too far. Usually I do it within 48 hours. But let's just say you're using 3 days before. So what you want to do now, here's what you want to do. So now you want to apply the SECT principle. What is the SECT principle? Okay, the SECT principle is once you get that yes, I'm there, then immediately you're going to add them on social media. On all the channels, Instagram and Facebook, right? And what you're then going to do is send them a message saying, hey man, it was really great talking to you. Right? Right away. At the same time, what you want to do too is then you want to send them an email invitation. Appointment invite with the address already in there. So if you have a cell phone, which I'm assuming all of you have a cell phone, you can set up a Google invite on your calendar that will automatically schedule an event, send them an email that they have to confirm. And it has the location and the day and the time. So now they're getting that email from you. Okay? Then from there, the day before, what I'm going to then do is also do a verbal confirmation, a verbal call. So I'm going to call them up again. Hey, just want to touch base with you, for tomorrow, just confirming. And then the final step is a text. So that day of, I'll send them a quick text. Hey, I'm on my way. I'm about 15 minutes out. So that is the process of SECT. Now, why do you want to do this? Because if you're hitting them on all these different angles, look at what's actually happening. You're adding fire to the relationship. You're building familiarity with yourself and the prospect. You're also hitting them in all these different angles, so that way, if you call him and he doesn't answer, no problem. You already have him here at the DM, right? You also have him getting email, right? You send him a text, he doesn't respond, all good, because you've already hit him 3 times on the way. So you're not just depending on that one-time phone call setting the appointment. No, you're hitting them. You're indoctrinating this person, mentally getting them committed to showing up to the appointment. You see how that works? And then what ends up happening ultimately is now, in addition to that, because you got them on social media, all your content that you have on your social media actually is doing the recruiting for you, if your content's set up the right way. So your content will be like your little foot soldier that's actually in there mentally recruiting your prospect, because as he goes through your Instagram and Facebook, he sees all your posts, sees your content, he's like, man, this person's awesome, this person's cool. So he already is inspired by you. And that's just going to make him that much more desirous to do what? Meet with you on appointment day. So I hope this made sense. I just shared with you some pretty awesome insights. I know for a fact when I learned this stuff, it changed my whole game of recruiting. I went from being a desperate, chasing network marketer like most of them are. That's why network marketers have a bad name. Like, to be honest, I don't even like to tell people I did network marketing or do network marketing, just because everyone's had a bad experience with a network marketer. So this is going to allow you to be different than all the other network marketers, where you're not coming across as a desperate, hungry, salesy, pushy, sleazy person, right? No, not at all. You're coming professional, you're coming confident, you're coming from a place of power and inspiration, and most importantly, you're coming with a powerful message, right? So if you employ all the different strategies I just gave you, DTP, SECT, and NPOGs, right? What does NPOG stand for again? No promises or guarantees. That's what it stands for. I don't know if I left that out or not. So if you apply these principles, DTP, daytime, place, SECT, social media, email, call, text, NPOG stand for no promises or guarantees, which is a posture and attitude you have when you're dealing with your prospects. There's no question that your appointment ratio your show up ratio will go up 100%. And I'm going to encourage you to track it. Don't just sit here and, oh, that was awesome, that was so great, I'm just going to practice on myself and practice on my vlog and practice in the mirror. No. Forget all that. Get on the phone tomorrow, start making your phone call, set appointments, or start tracking records, tracking how many appointments you set, what the outcomes were, how many showed up, how many didn't show up. Because I promise you, when you start really executing on your day-to-day activity, like I'm sharing with you right now, you're going to become a beast in this business. I promise you, network marketing is the easiest, What's the phrase that we always use? Network marketing is the easiest, big money, but obviously hard work you'll have to do. What that means is network marketing is pretty simple. It doesn't take brain science to actually do this business, or rocket science to do brain science. It doesn't take rocket science to do this business. All you're really doing is just speaking. You're just saying words, right? Which are all really just scripted. And if you say it consistent enough with enough power and confidence, you'll be able to get results, right? Network marketing is, in fact, a very simple, straightforward business. However, it is hard work, meaning you have to put in the time, you got to get rejected, you got to go out there and talk to people, you got to step out of your comfort zone, and that's as hard as it's going to get. I mean, there's a lot worse things you could do with your time and effort and energy, like, I don't know, go pick up garbage for a living, right? Or do construction for a living. There's a lot of hard things you can go out there and do to go make money. I remember the first time I made $10,000 a month in network marketing, I was like, I can't believe it. They paid me $10,000 to just recruit 30 people in a month. That's unbelievable, right? And I knew people who were in the medical field, professionals who couldn't even make a six-figure income, and they had to go to years and years of school and put in all this time, and they still couldn't do it. So I couldn't believe it. When I first got that first check from network marketing of over $10,000, and all I had to do was this, and that, it blew my mind. And once I understood that, I said, okay, so all I got to do is do it again. Boom, did it again, another 10 grand. Did it again, boom, another 10 grand. Did it again, boom, 15 grand. And then from there, it just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we got to the point where we're like, well, what do we got to do to make $1 million? And then boom, made the first million, then the second million, then the third million. And you want to know what it all boils down to? Keeping it super simple. Focus on the number one thing and the main thing, and keeping the main thing, which is what? Exposures. That's all it is. It's showing massive amounts of people the information. And if you take the trainings I'm giving you guys, every week I'm going to be delivering one video like this to help you guys through Momentum TV to help you do what? Build massive production, build massive promotions within your organization, meaning people get promoted on your team, and do what? Trigger massive paychecks for you and everybody else. If you have the 3 Ps in motion in your business, you can't help but be in a state of massive, constant, and never-ending momentum. So guys, this is episode 5 of Momentum TV. I almost forgot. Moving forward, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change things up a little bit. Moving forward, we're gonna now take our Momentum TV episodes and put them on our YouTube channel. So YouTube channel, Max Knowles' YouTube channel, my channel. Check it out, because now we're gonna be doing our Momentum episodes there. Each week we'll be releasing a new training to help our followers, our community, our viewers get the information they need to really dominate in their network marketing business. So if you haven't already done so, guys, make sure you also subscribe at maxknowles.com. If you see this number here too, if you want to get text alerts with what's going on in real time, text the word beast mode to 323-615-1180. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and I promise you I'm going to continue to bring you high value content each and every week moving forward. Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Financial success today, it's more about based on really having the long-term vision